why don't you throw me an objection and I'll handle it.
I heard that today you don't have to pay a commission.
A lot of people are telling me that, Sean. And if it's okay with you, can I share with you the truth about what's happening with the commissions in our industry?
Sure.
Yeah. So, it's not really that you don't have to pay a commission, but it's not that that became an industry standard. What's happened is because of some lawsuits, the disclosure of what compensation is being offered has been removed. And it's also made it more negotiable.
What do you mean
So,
by that?
well, here's what I'm suggesting because you just came off the market 2 days ago. Yeah.
Three.
3 days ago. Okay. And you still want to sell, of course, correct?
I mean, I wouldn't have been on the market for 6 months.
Well, Sean, it's a good thing that we're having this conversation. And based on the conversation we're having, the questions you have, I don't mind stopping by today at 5 o'clock and sitting down, explaining to you about the buyer's agent compensation. And I'll actually share with you a strategy on how to utilize that buyer's agent compensation change to create a winning outcome for you. And you do want a winning outcome, right?
I mean, I wanted that 6 months ago.
Well, you know what? It's never too late. I'll see you today at 5.
I still don't understand. Am I going to have to pay a commission?
Well, you don't have to do anything, but here's what we'll do. We'll get together today at 5 and you'll be shown an actual plan to sell your home. And Sean, from there, if you're not 100% convinced based on the plan, based on the compensation, et cetera, that I can sell this home and have you walk away with as much money as possible, do you have to hire me?
No, I don't, but I'm still curious I don't want to waste my time, right? So I'm curious, what's the commission going to be?
Well, that's the thing. It's structured based on what's important to you. And so when we get together today at 5, I'll share with you an array of compensation options and you decide what's going to be best for you because you own the home, right?
Well, I mean, the bank does, and my wife.
And do you have any say so in it?
I mean, I'm on title.
Yeah. So you're in full control. I'll see you today at 5.
I wouldn't say that. My wife is.
So when I see you today at 5, I'm assuming that your wife's going to be there as well.
I'm not sure what her schedule is. I'll have to talk to her.
Well, let's tentatively schedule something for today at 5. And Sean, what questions do you think your wife would have for me?
Why are we selling the house again? It didn't sell the first time. 6 months later, I had to clean it up.
Yeah.
Bunch of
So
nonsense.
so what you can tell her is what's your wife's name?
Camille.
Sean, what you could tell Camille is, hey, listen, I spoke with this agent who has a lot of experience in the neighborhood. He has an actual plan, not just winging it. So let's go ahead and get together today with him today at 5 o'clock. He's going to bring an actual plan. You and I get to review it and decide what's going to be best for us. And Sean, if this plan that I'm going to share with you can sell your home just like many of your neighbors, your wife's not going to have an issue with it, is she?
Not sure.
Well, we're going to find out. I'll see you today at 5.
Great job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Very thorough. Very, I mean, you didn't let Sean off the hook. Sean was pretty wishy-washy. So I
He
think
sure
that was
was.
great conversation.
He
Yeah.
didn't
Sorry,
know if he
bro.
was the.
Sorry, bro. I had to.
No, he didn't even know if he owned it or not.
Well, the bank owns the property. I'm just on title. I fucking owe the bank a lot of money.
Yeah,
True. That's true.
that was a good one. That was a good one, though.
Uh, Aaron, are you here? Any thoughts on
Yes.
that
So,
conversation?
Sohail's a trained professional. It's clear. Things you did really well, not getting caught up in emotion. Sean's being a little aggressive with you, which is very realistic. And you didn't let any of that phase you. You're like, yeah, we'll get together at 5. We'll go over the options. All that's great. So on the profession, here's like little tweaks that we could do to improve. So on the professional fees, like, what's this? Like, do I have to pay commissions? Like, hey, man, here's what I'm aware of is due to some recent changes, we can go over the options that you have because the professional fee is one of the tools that we use to market the property. And we can review those options so that way you can decide what you feel is best. I guess I'm curious. I can hear in your voice you're a little bit frustrated. In terms of getting this property sold, if let's say you were able to do that, because my job's to help you, it's never to talk you into doing anything. Like, how would your life improve in some way? Like, what's the goal and objective? Because I didn't
Love that.
hear much about like motivation.
Love
Yeah.
that.
And when I meet somebody who's like aggressive like that, and I can just address like, hey man, I can hear in your voice that you're a little bit frustrated. I'll be sure to take it off my list. I guess I'm curious. Like, your home's lovely. It's in a great geographic area. I know people don't usually put their home on the market and not have a goal and objective. So was the goal to stay here locally? Were you looking to go someplace else? How would your life improve if you sold it, right? So that's, a little kind of feedback. And then the other piece, which ties into that, when he was like, yeah, I don't know what my wife wants to do and da-da-da-da, like that sort of thing. I would infuse the same thing. I'd be like, hey, my job's to help you. Like, it's, I want to be clear. It's never to twist your arm to do anything. I guess if your wife had it her own way, like, would she prefer just to stay here locally, or do you think she'd want to actually still make the move happen? And then just be quiet, like hush, breathe, and listen. Again, how would your life improve? What would be the benefit to you guys personally? Do you guys think that, for you, Sean, is this something that is still important to you, or have things changed forever? Because I want to slam that door shut. And he'll be like, nah, like, not forever. Like, we're probably going to revisit it. Okay, and if you don't mind me asking, like, what would cause you to revisit it? Because again, I want to get clear on motivation, right? The motive to take action, like the reason why they're doing something.
Awesome.
Yeah, other than that, it's solid. You were following down the track. The goal and objective was to set the appointment. And then just making sure I know the reasons why we're actually setting an appointment.
What do you think about why were you even considering selling in the first place?
Yeah, I refrain from why questions because they like make people feel like defensive.
Yeah.
I would ask the same thing. I would just use a what. So I'd be like, well, if you don't mind me asking, my intention in asking, Sean, is not to be nosy, just to see if I could give you any more information that could be helpful or useful.
Right there.
Yeah, when you had originally put it on the market, was there any particular reason you were even considering it? Or what would be the benefit to you personally if you moved? Is it still important to you, or have things changed forever? So, because when I ask, like, if I was to roll up on Sohail and be like, hey, why do you have those particular paintings behind you? He'd be like, screw you, dude. Like, I love these paintings. These are cool. Like, I like these. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Why do you
Or
shave
if I
your
asked
head?
Jessica, I'm like, yo, why are you wearing those glasses? She'd be like, dude, these are my favorite glasses. Like, what are you doing? Why are you even asking me? Exactly.
Why do you look like Andrew Tate?
Right. So, like, that's how I would position it. I want to ask questions in a way that lowers people's guard and increases the probability that they're going to converse with me. Like, just have a conversation.
So one more time, not why.
Yeah, not why, because why elicits defensiveness.
Correct. Yeah.
Instead, what? Or like, was there any particular reason which is the past tense, like, was there any particular reason you were even considering selling it? If you don't mind me asking, my intention in doing so is not to be nosy, just to see if I could give you any information that could be helpful or useful. When you originally put it on the market, was your goal and objective to stay here locally? You looking to go someplace else? Is that something that's still important to you, or have things changed forever? What I'm really after, guys, motive to take action. Like, because when people, let's say, expire, there's a reason they expire. Either they're not motivated enough to lower the price, or they are motivated enough. They just didn't have somebody who had the intestinal fortitude or the skill set to help them to self-discover that that's what they needed to do in order to get it sold.
Skill set.
And that might be like 20 to 30% of the whole population of expires. But my job is to get them to talk to me. Because if you think about this, like, the analogy I gave Jose when I was teaching him how to do this is like riding a bull. So if you think about this, Justin, if you've ever seen somebody ride a bull, what happens when they let the bull out of the gate? They buck, right? They go wild. How long does that last? 10 seconds, maybe 15? Yeah. So that's like when you call, they're going to say to you, hey, you're the 10th agent that called me. Don't call me back. That's just bucking.
What's your response there?
Right. Let's say it's like, yo, you're the 10th agent that called me. Yeah. I understand that you've been very popular this morning, and I'm imagining, Adam, that was not your intention when you woke up that you were going to be bombarded with phone calls. Just so you know, I'll be sure to take it off my list. What have I done immediately?
You got
Diffused.
their defenses.
Yeah, I diffused the situation, right? I didn't escalate the situation. I wasn't like, well, there's only 5 agents that are working today, and I'm one of them. I'm diffusing the situation. Like, you know what, Consuelo? I get that. I know that wasn't your intention this morning to get bombarded with phone calls from agents. I'll be sure to take it off my list just so you know the reason why that's happening is that obviously you're aware you had an agreement with an agent that came up this morning, and that's why people are reaching out. I guess I'm curious, while I have you on the phone, if you don't mind me asking, and my intention isn't to be nosy, just to see if I could give any information that could be helpful or useful. Your home's lovely. I mean, it's in a great area, great school district. When you had originally put on the market, was there any particular reason you were even considering selling it?
Was there
Now,
any particular reason?
Yeah, and you notice with my tonality, it's like, why would you ever do that? Now, what is that going to encourage Sohail to do? Talk to me.
Open up.
Well, so we were looking to do this, but we're not sure what we're going to do next. Listen, Sohail, that's perfect. That's fine. My job is to help you. It is never to talk you into doing anything. Just so I'm clear, is that something that's still important for you and your family, or have things changed forever? Slamming that door shut. He's like, no, we still want to do it. We just don't know what we're going to do next. That's okay. And I'm aware it's a little overwhelming. You're getting all these phone calls. I guess I'm wondering, again, I'm a little bit like confused because it is lovely, great school district, great geographic
Listen
area.
to that again. I'm a little bit confused.
Yeah, like what do you think actually stopped it from selling? And then be quiet. So instead of you telling them all the reasons why it didn't sell, ask them. And they'll be like, well, Michael, I thought it was, the market or the agent. Let's say they say this. Well, I don't know. Like the agent wasn't really giving me any feedback. Wait a minute.
Yes.
I actually say that. Like I'll stop them midstream. Hey, wait a minute, Jessica. You mean to tell me that they weren't calling you every week with an update telling you specifically how come it's not selling and what you would need to change to ensure that it does? Now, notice my tonality. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And they're going to be like, no. Well, let me be the first to tell you, Sohail, you definitely deserve better service than that. I guess I'm wondering, right? If there was a way that you could just simply augment your approach and virtually be guaranteed to get this property back on the market and actually sell it this time, is that something that would be worth like 10 to 15 minutes of your time? And they're like, well, what do you mean? Whenever anybody asks you a question or gives you a compliment, it's permission to close.
Done.
So they say, well, Sohail says to you like, well, what do you mean, Aaron? Well, just by you saying that really demonstrates that we should get together and discuss the options. May I make a suggestion? Now, when I say, may I make a suggestion, you know what I'm doing, Adam? I'm asking for permission to close.
Love that.
Now, do you know what that requires that you do? It requires that you shut up and be quiet. You ready? Here, we're going to all practice together. And I want you to see what it feels like to stay in silence for 10 seconds. Okay, you ready? You are quiet and you wait.
So is that what happened?
Because do you know what we do? We get insecure and we start to fill the air with words that have nothing to do with the transaction, nothing to do with the conversation. So you want to wait until they say something to you like, well, I'm listening. Or go ahead, Michael. Or you can make a suggestion. I don't know if I'm going to do it.
You've had that?
100% all the time. So by waiting, now they're giving me the go ahead to close.
Love that.
It's like they're giving me permission. So it's like, well, based on what you've been kind enough to share with me, but again, based on what you've been kind enough to share with me, because that's true. They don't have to talk to you, bro.
Yeah.
Based on what you've been kind enough to share with me, Sohail, I'm hearing a couple things from you very clearly. The first is you guys still want to move, you and Christina. The second thing I'm hearing from you is through no fault of your own.
Yes.
You're not specifically clear as to why it's not selling and what you need to change to ensure that it does. So what I'd like to do is this, and I really wouldn't mind because I'm in your area all the time anyway. I'd love to have the opportunity simply just to pop by. When I say pop by, how long does that sound it's going to be?
Quick.
5 minutes.
Quick. Pop by, take a look, see what it has to offer in person. While I'm there, I'll show you two things very clearly. The first one is very specifically, how come it's not selling? And what needs to be changed in terms of a much more proactive and aggressive approach to ensure that it does. The second thing I'll show you is with that proactive and aggressive plan in place, what would be top dollar and net bottom line, what the proceeds would be to you and your family. And then at least this way, Sean, whatever you decide to do, whether it's sooner, later, me, or somebody else. You'll have all the most important information you need so you can make the decision for you and your family that you feel is best in terms of how to proceed. Does that sound fair to you?
Absolutely.
Now, notice, who is that all about?
Me.
Them the whole time, right? So you will have all the information you need so you can make the decision for you and your family that you feel is best. Look at that ratio. As I'm closing, like there's nothing about me there.
Nothing.
Right? Yeah, which is what we want. Like that's the goal and objectives.
Can you recap on the pop by? What was the language there?
Yeah, so what I'd like to do is this, and I really wouldn't mind because I'm in your area all the time.
I'm in your area all the time.
Yeah, anyway, so I'd love to have the opportunity simply just because everything after the word simply has to be what? Simple. Simply just to pop by. Again, pop sounds, Justin's like, oh, this is quick, dude. It's going to take like 10 minutes.
Pop.
Simply just to pop by, take a look, and see what it has to offer in person. While I am there, I can show you two things very clearly.
Very.
The first one is specifically how come it's not selling?
Why is it not?
And what needs to be, and what needs to be changed in terms of a more proactive and aggressive approach to ensure that it does.
Proactive and aggressive approach.
Yep. To ensure that it does.
Proactive and aggressive approach. Sorry.
Yeah. The second thing I'll show you is with that aggressive approach in place, what would be top dollar, the most amount we could expect to receive, and net bottom line, what the proceeds would be to you and your family. And then at least this way, Sean, whether it's sooner or later or me or somebody else, do I sound attached to that outcome?
Not at all. Not at all.
Not at all.
Whether it's me or somebody else, at least you'll have the information.
Yep, you need so you can make the decision that you feel is best for your family. Does that sound fair? Now, the reason why I'm using fairness is because I'm offering to give you something for free. It's very difficult to be like, no, that is not fair, Aaron.
The master, Aaron Novello.
So what's up?
What's up? Love it, dude. Thank you. Thank you for the nuggets, the gem, the jeweler.
My pleasure.
That was good. Yeah. So just two things thank you for sharing was.
Wait. It was just good?
No, it was great. I'm just thinking.
Thank you.
Yeah, just two things. A lot of great golden nuggets, but just getting back to what you pointed out to me, Aaron, is what's the benefit and how would your life improve? Two big motivating questions.
Yeah, I love that. Those are awesome motivating questions that get me to the root because again, what I'm really doing here, I want everybody to do like a mental flip. My goal while prospecting is not to set appointments, it's to discover problems that leads to appointments.
Wait, can you say that one more time?
My goal while prospecting is not to set appointments, it's to discover problems. Discover the problems, it leads to the appointments.
Yes.
So what I need to get really gangster at, Justin, is asking questions, surgical questions to discover people's problems. And then once I am clear that it is a problem that has an 8, 9, 10, or 11, 8, 9, 10 level of urgency, now we go into a closing sequence.
Let's go.
I don't go into a closing sequence before because it's premature.
Yeah, and so many agents just want to go on appointments for no reason, just to waste their time. 3 hours.
Yeah. Well, I understand why. I mean, because it is a
dopamine.
Like, well, not just that. There's no like. This is a job that it's not like you get commission on a draw. Like if you don't meet a quota that you get like, $20 an hour.
So why go on the appointment?
Well, here's why is because it makes us feel like a little safe, like we're moving towards money. So I understand why, and I have compassion for like why people like why we do that. I'm also aware of though is that it's faulty in the sense that the crappy leads hide the good ones. So if you find yourself going on a lot of appointments and people aren't doing anything, it's because actually you haven't gotten good at discovering levels of motivation. You're taking all levels as the same level, and they're not. So somebody who says, hey, Sohail, I want to sell so I can get some more space for my dog in a backyard. That is not the same as, hey, I lost my job and I have to sell my house. It's not the same thing. It's not the same thing as like, hey, you know, Grandma Susie unfortunately passed away. Nobody wants the property. We have to sell it. It's not the same level of motivation. Hey, I fell behind in my payments and I got to sell. Hey, we're getting divorced and I have to sell. It's not the same level of motivation. So the reason why we go on those unqualified appointments or hold on to leads that are not qualified is because it creates a false sense of security.
Come on.
And we tell ourselves a story that, you know, over time, these people will become motivated. Well, I need you to understand something. Okay. So I'm a pretty good salesperson.
A great one.
I can never make somebody more motivated than they already are. I'm not able to do that. So don't hallucinate and tell yourself that story that you can take somebody who's not motivated and convince them. That's like hallucinatory thinking. It's not real. My job is to find the people, which requires work, guys. Okay. I remember when I first got started in the game. Well, let's go back. So I was in a fraternity in college, and it was a multicultural fraternity. So they pledge in the same way that like traditional African-American fraternities pledge. And there was a saying that says like, shortcuts are tools for the incompetent built upon mountains of nothingness, and those who use them seldom succeed. I'm going to say that again to you, not because you didn't hear me, but because it's really important. Shortcuts and excuses are tools for the incompetent built upon mountains of nothingness, and those who use them seldom succeed. So while I was online,
I'm sorry, one more time.
Yeah, shortcuts are tools for the incompetent built upon mountains of nothingness, and those who use them seldom succeed. So while we were online, like if a big brother saw me walking across the grass when there was like a sidewalk, because I was trying to cut the time that it took to get from one place to another, that would be a problem later on that evening. Okay. So one of the things I told myself, Jonathan, like when I would go into the office prior to me working from home, I would purposefully take the stairs. There was an elevator. I would purposefully take the stairs. And what I would say out loud, Tim, to myself, and everybody thought I was probably crazy, but I don't care, is there's no shortcuts to success. And the great news is that I have stopped looking for them.
Reach.
Do you know how many people, Consuelo, spend a whole career looking for shortcuts? Their whole career, Consuelo.
A lifetime.
There's got to be a faster way. There's got to be a quicker way. Maybe it's I got to switch models. I got to switch brokerage firms. I got to do this. I got to do that. And it's just this understanding that the reason why I hold on to those not great leads is because I don't want to stare right down the pipe of the fact that I have to spend more time trying to find or figure out different strategies or different techniques or learn new things or new lead sources in order to find the people that are motivated. Because when we go from 6 million to 3.9 million transactions, guys, there's just less transactions. Those are called the facts. To try to hallucinate or optimistic or Pollyanna, like, okay, I get there's value in like, you know, optimistic means like you see more opportunities. There's opportunities in all markets, but we can never lose track of the hard facts of the situation. And the hard facts of the situation is I have to shift lead sources to find people that are more motivated and or get better tools so I can speak to more people in the same amount of time, because that's what's required in order to find the people that are 8, 9s, and 10s. That's the fact. Like, that's a truth. Same way gravity is real. Like, if you don't think gravity is real, like, go jump off a bridge and see what happens. You're like, well, I'm going to affirm it away. I'm going to be like, I want to be positive today and positively affirm gravity away. Like, that's dumb, guys. That's not real. So I see a lot of opportunity right now because a lot of agents are just not doing what needs to be done in order to find the people. So there's huge opportunity. There's opportunity in different lead sources. There's opportunity in cash offer programs. But you have to be willing to change and learn new things. Like, what I find super interesting is the way I built my business, grew my business was, you know, role playing twice a day, 6 days a week, being listing focused, 100+ deals a year, 80% of that business being listings sold, did 200 deals a year twice, all through active telemarketing, like prospecting. Well, I just got asked to speak at EXPCon in Miami, and you know what they want me to speak about? Media, Ryan. That is a demonstration of a willingness to learn something new. Our ability to be able to evolve and grow. If you'd have told me 3 years ago, Mario, that that's what they would want me to speak about, I would have slapped you in your face and been like, that's ridiculous. 3 years ago, my platforms were just my wife posting pictures of our children. So we have to continue to evolve and grow. We have to, but the gravity doesn't change. Like my tools might change, my lead sources might change, but the gravity, which is that I have to speak to people and I got to be skilled in doing it. And if there's less transactions, I need to focus on people that have or lead sources that have higher degrees of probability of doing something and or learning new lead sources or new techniques. That changes. The gravity of having to speak to people does not. And it never will, Consuelo. Just so you know. So just make and accept and acknowledge that as long as you are selling real estate and have a goal and objective to do it in high volume, you will perpetually, nonstop, forever be having these conversations. Forever. And just like accept it, bro, because we waste so much time like resisting it, so much time fighting it. So much time like, oh man, I hope and wish and pray there's a time when I won't stop prospecting. I'm like, bro, I can already tell that you're gonna lose because of your mindset. That's like thinking I want to be fit like Michael when I'm in my 60s and be like, bro, I can't wait for there's a time where I stop working out. That will never happen. Ever. So just like, stop it. Stop like holding out this like, you know, elixir and hope that one day, nah, dude, if you signed up for this, this is what it is. And turn yourself into the type of person that can do it 6 days a week, 5 to 6 days a week, day in and day out. Imagine in a race and I look at the person next to me and be like, yo, I could do this all day, every day, no problem. And they're sitting here thinking, oh God, can I do this? This is so hard. Like, dude, it's not even fair, Jessica.
It's like Hermosi talks about, or no, Dana White. He says, if you just have a little bit of motivation in this generation, you will succeed.
Yeah. Hosey, did you jump on the call, bro? I think I.
Yes, sir.
Good. Anybody else have anything they want to role play, work on, practice?
Can I role play? Did you guys do expires already? Sorry, I kind of jumped on like 5 minutes late.
Yeah, we did, but you could do it.
Okay, I'd like to do an older expired, maybe from like the end of last year. Okay. Who am I? Ring.
What? Hello.
Good morning. I'm looking for Aaron.
Yeah, this is.
Hey, Aaron, this is Mario. Respectfully giving you a call in regards to your property here on Avocado Street.
Okay.
It looks like it came off the market back last year. You folks had it for sale. And just calling because the prices have actually gone up. So I was curious to know, any chance you're thinking about selling the home now?
I don't know what we're going to do. It's been off the market for a while.
Yeah, no, I definitely understand that, Aaron. If you don't mind me asking, obviously you have a nice home here. It's in a great neighborhood. Originally, when you had put the home back on the market, what was the reason you folks were even thinking about selling the home?
Yeah, time out. So 2 things I'm noticing. One, introduce yourself. My name is Aaron. I'm a local real estate agent here in Oxnard, here in Camarillo, wherever, because part of me is thinking, who is this person?
Yeah.
And then the second thing is when I'm like, yeah, I don't know what we're going to do next. That's fine. My job's to help you. It's never to talk you into doing anything.
Okay.
Which alleviates like, kind of pressure. Continue.
So,
I don't know what we're going to do. I don't know what we're going to do next.
Yeah, that's not a problem. And Aaron, my job is to help you. It's never to talk you into doing anything. Just out of curiosity, you have a beautiful home. I know the neighborhood. It's in a great school district. If you don't mind me asking.
Hey, time out. Just out of curiosity. Yeah, okay, good. Just out of curiosity, if you don't mind me asking.
If you don't mind me asking, was there any particular reason you folks were even thinking about selling the home?
Yeah, like when we put it on, we wanted to get
Mhm.
into a better school district, but it didn't sell. School started now,
Yeah.
so I don't know. Maybe we'll revisit it down the road.
Okay. No, that totally makes sense. So it sounds like it may be a move you consider doing towards the end of the school year this year, or even maybe towards the break coming up towards the end of the first semester.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, we just don't want it to be like super disruptive.
Yeah, yeah, no, I totally understand. If you don't mind me asking, Aaron, I was also a little confused as to why the property didn't sell. Did your last
Wait,
agent
time out. I would dig more around. I would dig more around the motivation.
dig more around?
So, like, okay, and if you did sell the property, was your intention to stay
Mhm.
here in Oxnard and Camarillo, or were you trying to go somewhere else to get a better school district?
Okay, gotcha.
And
Um,
ideally, in terms of what you want, or before we even go there, let's say it's like, nah, I wanted to go over to Camarillo, we're in Oxnard to get in better schools. Okay, and is that something that's still important to you, or if things change forever?
okay, that
So you
makes
see
sense.
what I'm doing? I'm spending more
Yeah.
time digging around like what's important to them.
Okay, that makes sense.
Because it's like you're hearing it and you're like, okay, there's some motivation, and then you keep going down the path, which is really the goal is to set an appointment, which is fine. But remember, if
Right.
you do that mental switch in your mind, the goal is to discover the problem.
Gotcha.
Problems lead to appointments.
That makes more sense. Yeah, because sometimes I'm getting like half.
Yeah, and
a
then
little bit
even
of
like, hey, I've
motivation.
spoken to you, Mario. I can hear in your voice that it's something that's relatively important to you. How does your wife feel about it?
Yeah, she's
Oh man, she's
on
like,
board.
dude, she was super disappointed that we weren't able to move and da 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 da. Okay, so it sounds like this is something that's still like top of mind for you guys. Then I go to the question around. I'm a little bit confused. Your home's lovely. It's in a great. You see?
Right, right. So go like maybe like one or even two layers deeper.
Oh, I would go like 2 or 3 or 4. Like I just want to keep digging and digging and digging. And as they give you more information, they're becoming more vested in the conversation.
That makes sense. That makes
And
sense.
it's also formulating trust because, like, my focus, guys, I want everybody on this call to realize something. What most salespeople do is they're really selfish. They're only thinking about themselves. They're thinking about my appointments, my goals, my business plan, like my. The more you can shift that to you, the better. People will be way more responsive. They'll listen to you more. They'll have conversations with you more. So I would just spend more time digging around motivation before I move to kind of, okay, well, I'm a little bit confused. Like, what do you think stopped me from selling?
Gotcha. So tactically, the first room you're entering, kind of what you guys talk about rooms, is like motivation when you're on a call like this, and then really go a few layers deep before moving to like logistics of how to.
That's right. So think about this. Like if you're walking in and we clear the room by room. So the first room I'm clearing is motivation. I do not leave that room until I'm crystal clear. Now, once I leave that room, now we go to time.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
How soon would you like to make this happen? Ideally, in terms of what you want in a perfect world, what would this look like for you time-wise? If I was able to help you sell it in, I don't know, like the next 90 days, would that work for you? Or would that create a problem? So now we're shifting around time. Then once I'm clear on time, now it's decision makers. Right? I've only spoken to you. Seems like this is still important to you. I see there's somebody else on title. How do they feel about it? If they had it their own way, what would they prefer? Like, what was her experience while it was on the market? Right? Well, if you had to rate her motivation on a scale from 1 to 10 to make this happen for your family, would it be like a 5, like no big deal? Or is it like an 8 or 9 or 10? Is it still something that's really important to you guys? If you could virtually be guaranteed to actually accomplish this simply by augmenting the approach in some way, do you think that'd be worth 10 to 15 minutes of your time? But because you see I've gone motivation, time, decision makers, that is a natural conversation.
Right.
Versus when I start to close prematurely, Diana, it's not natural. It starts to create resistance.
Yeah. It's like buy me dinner first.
Right. Buy me dinner, take me out, buy me flowers, like do all that shit. Like, what are you doing?
Right. Right.
It's like going on a date. Somebody knocks on your door and they're like, yo, we doing this? You're like, come on, bro. Like, we got to hang out first. What are you doing?
Aaron, where are you? Where's that pool? Where are you?
It's my house.
You bought a house?
Nah, come on, man. You know better than that, man.
I love it, dude.
So is that
You clear on that, Mario?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
run that
make-
back.
that makes
Now
sense. That's
dig
actually
around. So
Wow.
let's say I'm like, we're not sure what we're gonna do next, but now,
Mhm.
like dig around motivation.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that makes more sense. I haven't been getting a clear motivation, and it makes sense when I'm starting a pre-qual. I'm like not, or I'm going on appointments and I don't really have that clear picture, and it's hurting me because I don't know how to help them best.
Yeah, and I know because I remember we had a call before. Underneath it is okay. I want everybody to do something. Okay, this will be fun. Everybody say this shit out loud. Okay. So I say,
Unmute.
everybody unmute. Say this shit out loud. You ready?
I'm ready. Everybody,
so I think.
unmute. So I think.
I think.
So I feel.
So I feel.
So I feel.
So I feel.
So I do.
So I do.
I do.
I do.
So I have.
So I have.
Fucking human psychology, guys. So what's happening here, Mario, is you think asking questions is intrusion.
Right.
So that causes you to feel uncomfortable when you do it,
Right.
which causes you not to do it, which
Right.
means you go on appointments and you don't know what the fuck's going on.
Yeah. Right. Yes. Fair
Does
enough.
that make sense?
Yeah. No, it does. That's 100% true. My mom, as soon as you ask her a question, it's out of rapport. It's like the world's over. She doesn't want to talk. She thinks you're trying to steal her
Right.
information.
So I'm aware like where you learned that from, which is fine, but you have the capacity to unlearn that.
No, I do.
Come on.
So the way, remember I shared with you, like the way I think about this
Right.
is that me asking questions is actually being of service because I can't help you if I don't know what the fuck's going on. Like imagine like a doctor being like, yo, I'm kind of afraid to ask you this question. Anybody besides me, a doctor asks you like a straightforward, intrusive, down the question. Besides me?
Of course.
For sure.
Do they have any hesitation when they do that?
Absolutely not.
No.
No, because they have to know. If you ever sit down with an attorney and you have to have a conversation, like, bro, you need to tell me everything right now, start to finish. Otherwise, I can't help you.
Yeah, it makes
Does that make sense?
Preach.
Perfect
So
sense.
it's more so like you're thinking that it's a role play thing, bro. It's a thinking and feeling thing. It's not a role play thing. We could sit on this call. You could keep coming to these calls for 5 more years, bro. If I don't change my thinking, it won't change the way I feel, and then I won't do it.
100%. Thank
Wow.
you.
One more time, please.
Thank you.
Yeah. So that's the thing that I would be focused on. Is it's a thinking and feeling thing, which leads to doing, which leads to what I have.
Okay, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
That's all. You just appreciate it.
That's all, Sean. DJ Sean. Dude, you gotta host some weddings, man, with your emceeing, bro. We love it.
Who's next?
Aaron.
Who's next?
Aaron, can you
wait,
repeat that
wait.
one question that you asked on a scale of 1 to 10? You said what would be?
Yeah. So on a scale of 1 to 10, like 5 being like, nah, this is really not a big deal. 10 being, no, we are definitely going to put it back on the market and get it sold. How would you rate your guys' motivation to get it done? I've only spoken to you. You seem to be an 8 or a 9. It seems to be somebody else on title of the property. How do they feel about it? You know how helpful that is, bro? Somebody's like, yeah, my wife's a 5. Okay, that's a problem.
Yes.
I need to know that. Well, my husband's like a 5. Okay, well, I need to know that. Well, if you don't mind me asking, tell me a little bit more about that. Like, well, what do you think's causing him to be a 5? Well, he really likes it here, and he has a lot of friends here, and he's in a bowling club, and like blah blah blah. Like, okay, and I guess I'm curious. I've helped a lot of families, and sometimes there's different dynamics amongst families. So how do you see this working out? Like, you seem to really want to move, and he's like, eh. Like, do you usually end up making it happen over time, or do you think it's just at a standstill and then be quiet? Bro, wife will tell you. Consuelo will be like, nah, he's gonna move. Like, he'll move. So okay, cool. And what do you think will cause that to happen? Or she'll be like, I don't know. Like, and then what I would share is like, listen, here's my professional experience is that when 2 people aren't on the same page, when one wants to sell and one isn't as motivated, do you know what they'll end up doing? And they're like, what? I said, they'll do something that satisfies both sides. Can I explain to you what I mean? Yeah. They'll put it on the market at a price that'll cause them not to sell. Yay. So then both sides get what they want. So and look, Michael's been doing this for 30 years. He's like, yep, I see that all the time. So my job is to get alignment and to get clear on alignment. But the only way I can get clear on alignment, to what I was saying with Mario, is I have to ask straightforward questions. Now, the way that I couch that is by saying something like, hey, my intention is to be nosy. You know, if you don't mind me asking, you know, the reason that I'm asking is to try to figure out if I could give you any more information that could be helpful or useful to you in some way, because that's about you, right? But thinking that I can come up with some magical, like, you know, rebuttal to a husband being a 5 is dumb.
All right. Who else? Who else would like to role play? Let's go.
I can go.
All right. Eric, you guys want to role play? Bahadi?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Let's do a regular expired.
Okay.
Yeah. Ring ring.
Hello.
Hi, Eric.
Yeah.
Eric, hey, good morning. This is Bahadi. How you doing?
Are you a realtor?
Yeah, I'm a realtor, and you know, I noticed that your property on 123 Main Street came off the market. Have you already been getting a bunch of calls?
Yeah, you're like the 100th person.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I know it must be really annoying. You know, I even hesitated to call you, but hey, listen, I did want to call you to ask you because when I saw you took it off the market, I was confused because I mean, the house is beautiful, the price, I don't think it was too off. And you know, I was really confused as to why it came off the market. Do you know what happened?
I mean, you're the professional. Did you show it? Do you have a buyer?
I didn't show it. We have tons of buyers here. I actually work with the #1 real estate team in the South Bay. We've done almost 100 transactions just this year so far. So that's why I'm calling. That's exactly why I called you. I was just confused. What kind of feedback was the agent that you're using giving you?
You know, the market's going down and the interest rates, and I think we're just going to relist with the same agent.
Okay, great. Yeah. So you guys are going to relist with the same agent, but the main reason that the feedback that he was giving you was the market, that it's just not where it needs to be in order for you to sell it.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Well, you know, I find that interesting because, like I said, just this year so far, I mean, honestly, the interest rates are really high, and it's been difficult for a lot of agents that, you know, haven't had experience in markets like this. But like I said in the beginning, we've managed, even with this tough market, to sell about 100 homes so far this year. So I'm just curious, I mean, what kind of feedback did he give you as far as what you needed to adjust to be able to get the property sold, even with the current conditions?
I think he's going to put it in the New York Times, and then we're going to adjust the price a little bit.
New York Times and adjust the price a little bit. Okay, perfect. So, and what did you like that the agent was doing for you?
Well, you know, he held that open house like every weekend, so that I think he was working really hard.
Awesome. Yeah, he was a hard worker. Okay, perfect. And once you do get this property sold, where are you planning on going to next?
Texas.
To Texas? What's in Texas?
I got a job. I'm going to be building Cybertrucks.
You got a job, you're building Cybertrucks. Okay, great. Okay, look, Eric, I appreciate your time. So can I make a suggestion?
Sure.
Okay, so I understand that you're going on the market. You were on the market with your last agent for about 6 months. Would you be opposed to hearing a second opinion just to kind of go through what we've done in this market, so to be able to sell homes within 28 days, even with where everything is, with the interest rates being high and kind of the tough market that we're in? Would you be opposed to hearing that?
No, but I mean, don't you guys all do the same thing?
You know, it's so funny, Eric. Everybody says the exact same thing, but obviously, I don't say this to brag, but I say this so you can feel confident that we're going to provide value when we do meet for a quick 30 minutes. We've managed the average agent. Do you know how many homes the average agent sells a year?
No.
It's 2. Okay. Do you know how many homes we sell every year?
No.
It's about 200. Now, like I said, that I don't say that to brag or boast. I say that because obviously what we're doing, we have a very strategic plan that we do regardless of whatever market we're in. We could be in 2008, we could be in 2000. we could be in this current market with these higher rates, and we know exactly what we need to do, and we have the plan on how to do it. So do you have some time tomorrow around 6 p.m.?
Yes.
Perfect. So I'll lock you in for 6 p.m. tomorrow. I'm going to send you a little calendar invite to make sure that we don't forget. And I'm also going to email you a package of information so you can know exactly who we are. And that way, you know that once we come, you're not wasting your time. Does that sound fair enough?
Yep.
Perfect. What's the best email for you?
Blah, blah, blah.
Blah, blah, blah. Okay. I'll send that over to you. Thanks, Eric. I'm looking forward to meeting you tomorrow at 6 p.m.
You too.
Great job. Finished really strong. I got some notes. I think you started maybe a little bit nervous. A lot of knows and buts and ums and ahs. So, but you picked it up, man. You finished really strong, closed hard. That's what I got. Aaron? Eric? Yo, Aaron, you're muted.
Yeah, so the same. Like it was at the beginning, it was like apologetic, which has to do with how you feel. Remember, as I think, so I feel, so I feel, so I do, so I do, so I have. So it felt as though like you felt like you were bothering him. So just being mindful of that. I also heard like a bunch of like trying to lead with authority, like we sell all these homes and like sort of thing. And while there's a place for that, when he directly asks you is when I would bring it up. So he's like, well, don't you guys all do the same thing? There's a couple different ways that you can approach that. But what came up for me is like, yeah, I hear that a lot. And, in my business, the talk is the same. The results are completely different. And we have the good fortune of helping, I don't tell you this to brag or boast. It's just to answer your question directly. We have the good fortune of helping 10 to 15 families, just like you, accomplish your goals and objectives each and every month in terms of getting their property sold. So it's really not a question to me of whether or not we could or couldn't help. What the real question is specifically figuring out what your goals and objectives are and coming up with a plan. So that way we can help you get what you want the time you want. Does that make sense to you? So notice I'm saying the same thing, but I'm making it about them where you were making it about you. Two different things. And it took too long to get there. You would have lost me. Be like, how many homes the average agent sells? Or like 2. It's like I have to wait for this. It's like I'm waiting for a fucking magic trick.
Yeah.
Just get to it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And what do you, so like you said, I started off with like an apologetic.
Yeah, it was
mindset.
It's in your tone.
Yeah.
That it feels like you're bothering them.
So what should I lead with?
And then you also I think you actually apologize. Like, I'm sorry for that. It's like, what are you apologizing for, bro?
Yeah.
So instead it's like, yeah, hi, my name is Aaron and I'm a local real estate agent here in wherever. And I noticed this morning that your property had actually came off the market as an expired listing. And I was reaching out to you simply just to find out when you plan on interviewing agents again for the job of actually getting it sold this time. I was reaching out to you simply to find out if the goal and objective is still to sell the property, is it still important to you, or have things changed forever? Now, notice in my tonality, do I sound like I feel like I'm bothering you?
No.
Not at all. And there's nothing for me to apologize. You're like, yeah, I'm sorry for that. He was like, yeah, I was on the market 6 months. Yeah, I'm sorry. Like, what are you apologizing for? You didn't do anything.
Okay, and how do I counteract I think you just went through it at the beginning, but how do you counteract when they're like, oh my gosh, I've got a bunch of calls, I don't want to talk to you, blah, blah, blah. That frustration.
Yeah, it's like, listen, I get it. I know that you have that you didn't wake up this morning, with the goal and objective of getting bombarded with. So I'll be sure to take it off my list. Just so you know, the reason why that's happening is because you had on the market with an agent, you had a contract with them, and it actually expired this morning. And they're reaching out to you. It'll probably persist for another day or so, and then it'll slow down and stop. Again, I'll take it off my list. I guess I'm curious, while I do have you on the phone, though, your home's lovely. It's in a great geographic area. Hopefully, I'm not being too straightforward. Was there any particular reason when you guys originally put it on the market that you were even considering selling it?
Okay. Thank you.
Good for you for stepping up, being in the hot seat. Most people won't do that, but that's the only way you get better.
Yeah.
Aaron, can I add something? Can I add something? I guess I just will. You were saying perfect, brother, when he was like, I'm going to interview another agent or I'm going to work with another agent. You're like, oh, okay, perfect. Maybe just acknowledge him and say that I can understand why you'd feel that way. And then go into your whatever you're going to go into, acknowledge it or not endorse.
Yeah, it's Yeah, I'm gonna be interviewing agents. Okay, fantastic. I mean, usually when a homeowner is getting ready to put a home back on the market, prior to getting stuck in a multi-month contract that could cost them more time and money, they usually speak to more than one agent. I'd love to have the opportunity to be one of the people that you consider. I guess I'm curious, and then move on.
Love that.
That was really fast. Do you mind going through that one again?
So
Aaron's really quick.
you gotta run at full speed to keep up with me, player.
I love it. Love
Like,
it.
So yeah, that makes sense to me. It's not uncommon that if someone's been on the market for 6 months and not selling, that if they are considering putting their home back on the market, they, prior to getting stuck in a multi-month contract that could cost more time and money, that they will speak to more than one agent. And I'd love to be one of those people that you consider. I guess I'm wondering, and then move on. Ask another question.
Before you get caught up in a multi-month contract.
Yeah, that's just a little doubt bomb. And they're like, well, we think we got the agent. It's like, yeah, and I mean this respectfully and lovingly. I have to imagine that you felt pretty confident that the last agent was going to sell it. Otherwise, you wouldn't have hired them, right? Yeah, and unfortunately, we're still here. So, it certainly wouldn't hurt to get a second opinion this time, just to make sure you're making the best choice. I'm curious, and then move on. So we want to drop these, think about this, it's like I have all these doubt grenades. And as we're speaking, I just pull the pin and drop them. I just drop doubt grenades as we move down the path. And then I drop enough doubt and I listen to you. I'm not trying to lead with authority. And I'm trying to hey, what's your, and I'm show you that I'm not attached to the outcome. And that'll cause somebody to be like, well, I don't know. What do you think? What do you think it didn't sell? Or and then the moment that they start asking you questions or they give you a compliment, they're like, well, you seem to really know what you're doing. Well, I appreciate you saying that. It sounds like you're beginning to see why people like you hire me all the time for the job. May I make a suggestion? Close. If they're like, well, what do you mean by that? What do you think stopped it from selling? Well, I really appreciate you asking, and I take that responsibility very seriously. And it's usually one of three things, right? It's usually marketing, perhaps could be some of the agent's activities, and it could be, as we're in flux in the marketplace, strategy around how to position it price-wise, or a combination of those things. I'd be able to determine that, provided that we connected and I could take a physical look at the property and I could give you a very clear picture as to why it's not selling and what would need to be changed in order to make that happen. I guess I'm wondering, with all that being said, may I make a suggestion and then close? Thank you, Darren.
Hey, Aaron, I have a question.
Yeah.
How do you navigate when you call somebody and they tell you that somebody recently passed and they are going to sell the property, but it's a sensitive topic and you don't want to be pushy?
Okay, so you ready?
Yeah.
Listen, I really appreciate your willingness to share that. I just want you to know my intention is not to be disrespectful in any way. It's simply just to find out if you and the family at some point, ultimately, if your goal and objective is to get that property on the market and to get it sold. Or, hey, I recognize that I may be a little premature in some way. I was calling very respectfully, of course, with regards to the real property. Listen to my tonality, right? And I mean it, guys. I'm not just saying this shit that I actually mean it, right? So, I was reaching out, very respectfully, of course, with regards to the real property on 1265 Banana Street, simply just to find out if ultimately, at some point, the goal and objective of your family, Susie and Jim and Bob, was to get that property on the market and get it sold. I realized that I may be a little premature. I was calling very respectfully, of course. That's just a recognition of the fact that there's two components. One is the practical component, which is selling the property. The second is the emotional component.
Okay.
Which is real, it's tangible. So that's how I do it. And I would list about 60 of those a year, probates.
Okay. Yeah, because they were like, we are going to list, but right now we're planning the funeral. Give me a call back in a couple months.
And then what I would say to them is okay, well, I appreciate your willingness to share that. I guess I'm curious, being that the goal and objective is to sell, we oftentimes find that in preparation for getting the home on the market, that it can be very helpful or useful for families while they're having conversations, because it sounds like you guys will, I'm imagining you'll be together, and more likely than not, we'll talk about the property, that it can be very helpful for them to get a clear, realistic picture of equity, right? So in other words, if and when you guys do proceed and put on the market, what would be a tight, realistic range as to what you could expect to receive for the property and net bottom line, what the proceeds would be? Do you think that would be helpful or useful? And then shut up. Then you say, and I oftentimes find, I don't know if this is something that you guys could utilize, that it's not uncommon that families can use some extra help or assistance in preparing a property for sale, such as maybe like an estate sale for items on the inside that may have value, helping to get contents cleared out or donated to local charities, or even some light handyman work to prepare the property, right, to put on the market. Do you think any of that could be of help or assistance to you? And then shut up. And they'd be like, yeah, that'd be amazing. Okay, well, just by you saying that demonstrates that we should get together and discuss the options. May I make a suggestion? Well, it sounds like, based on what you've been kind enough to share with me, that the goal and objective is to sell the property. It's not a question of if, it's just when. It also sounds like the more information that you can gather right now in preparation for that, the better equipped you and your family will be, so you can decide what you feel is best. So what I'd like to do is this. I really wouldn't mind. We have a lot of families that are in a similar stage in the process. And what we do is we schedule a very simple 10, maybe 15-minute, no obligation whatsoever, phone or Zoom appointment where we can see each other. And what I can show you are those couple of things very clearly. Number one, what would be top dollar and what the proceeds would be to the family when it all shakes out, so you guys can have those conversations and do so with the best information in front of you. The second thing we could discuss briefly are these ancillary services that we can connect you with, whether it's estate sale people, clear outs, handyman work. So that way you guys will have all the information you need, whether it's sooner or later, me or somebody else, and you can make the decision that you feel is best in terms of how to proceed. Does that sound fair to you?
Yeah, that does.
There's a reason he sells 180 homes a year, team.
Got it. Yeah, appreciate it.
And it's not luck.
Boom. All right, we've
Aaron,
got 2 minutes left.
Wait, quick question. Aaron, how many homes have you sold in your career? I just want to know.
2,000.
That's it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm aware that there's people who sold more than that. So, but
no, I'm just kidding, dude.
Yeah, 80% of it.
You guys hear that? This guy has sold fucking 2,000 homes. Listen.
Yeah, I got to start bringing Sean with me everywhere. He's like my hype man and shit. It's good.
I love you, dude.
Listen,
I love you,
yeah,
bro.
I love you too. But hey, listen, I'm going to hop on another call, team. Remember, like, there's no shortcuts to success. Please stop looking for them. Become the type of person that become the type of person that embraces difficult things. What you're seeing demonstrated here is a skill that anybody can learn. It just requires practice, like a nauseating, disgusting amount of practice. And it requires you become a serious student of sales, a serious student of persuasion, a serious student of psychology. And, like this guy that's on this call with you, I made him up. When I was 13 years old, I had a butt fluff mustache and aviator glasses. I just made him up through physiology, focus, and language with thinking, feeling, doing, and then that's what you end up having. So let's go be great. I'll talk to you soon. Peace.